Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're pretty much at a 1 month anniversary. Not quite, but almost at a 1 month anniversary of the release of Stellar Crown. So given that we're about at the 1 month anniversary of the release of Stellar Crown, I thought this would be an excellent time to check back in and see what's going on with the set, the value, the prices, all of that good stuff. Because we saw the usual cards going down on release, but are they still going down? Have some of them started to recover? What's going on with Stellar Crown? Well, the good news is, I can tell you, I'm here to help. And frankly, I would like to. Now, we're going to go through the top 10 because I think that's generally a good way to go through this. But I do just want to have a chat about Terapagos EX right now, the regular EX, which is somehow sitting at the 11th biggest card in the set. And yes, when I say 11th biggest card in the set, it's actually above things like Gold Bravery Charm, which it's a little bit surprising to me, frankly. But one of the things that's happened with this, it's gone down, don't get me wrong, but it's gone from a high of 19, 20 bucks, down to about 10 bucks, and is now sitting around 13. We're not talking about some super expensive card here, but it's a regular EX. And 13 bucks for a regular EX is a lot. And the fact that it went down and has since started recovering is honestly kind of relevant and kind of surprising. Now, one thing that's important to note here is we've had one regional championship in North America and Europe, the ones that are streamed and therefore catch more attention, where Terapagos has been legal. And we saw Tord Reklev making the asymmetrical top cut, the top 12, and then not making it through to top 8. So in the only one that's been streamed and had a lot of eyes on it, it didn't make the top 8. But a lot of good players are on it, there's a lot of hype around the deck, and apparently people are still in on it. And right before we get to the top 10 proper, I do need to let you know that I am doing a Whatnot stream tomorrow, 7:30pm UK time. We're going to be doing a bunch of Pokemon singles. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you use the code whatnot.com/invite/thewassy. That's how you get your £10 credit, get some free cards. It's all good. So yeah, come and join in. And 7:30pm UK time tomorrow. It'll be fun. So coming in at real number 10, we got Area Zero Underdepths, sitting there at about 18 bucks right now. And this has done what we expect. Starts off at $45, huge drop down to about 20 bucks, and it's gone down very slowly since. We had the big drop on release, and then since then we've seen a fairly slow, sustained drop. And the deal here is standard thing. Don't get me wrong, right? It's Area Zero Underdepths. So we're talking about a very good playable card, gives you 8 bench spots if you've got a Terra Pokemon in play. It's a gold version of it, which people are going to love. But actually, when it comes down to it, it's not that special. It's a good playable gold card. It's going to be a top 10 card in the set. But frankly, it's all right. And it's doing exactly what it should. No more, no less. Coming in at number 9, we've got a familiar friend who loves Area Zero Underdepths. It's Gold Terapagos EX. Yeah, that's right. Gold Terapagos EX is here, ladies and gentlemen. And, I mean, look, everything I said a minute ago kind of still counts here, honestly. It's still a great card. It's still a little overrated for my liking, but there is a chance it's going to be broken wide open. Starts off at 40 bucks. Crashes right down to 20 on release, and actually slowly creeping up again, up at 23. And that's what we're seeing with this set generally. There are exceptions, we'll get there. Big drop on release, and then mostly creeping down, but then some of them creeping up instead. But really a lot of them kind of largely hanging on for the time being. About where they were. This one is creeping up, but I do get the feeling like if Terapagos starts going and winning some bigger tournaments, we might see Terapagos' price, both the regular, the gold, and everything else, balloon in. In at number 8, we've got Briar. Briar, lovely special illustration rare supporter, and lovely artwork, and a great card that lets you take an extra prize if you take a KO with a Terra Pokemon, after having used it when your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining. Great card. But if we look at the graph here, it's going to start looking quite familiar. Starts off at about 45, crashes down to 28, and it's now actually up at 29. It's technically gone up by $1 since, but I think that's kind of largely ignorable, honestly. It's gone about flat since then. But we got a very playable special illustration rare with lovely artwork, and a lot of the time that's kind of your explanation. In at number 7, a bit of a surprise, Dachsbun EX. And here's the thing. Compared to like Briar, Terrapagos, Area Zero Wonder Depths, this card is not that playable. It's got an interesting ability whereby when you play it, you get to heal all of your Pokemon that are evolutions at the cost of the energy attached to them, don't get me wrong. But come on. No one's actually playing this. Don't want to be rude here, but I looked at a lot of deck lists at Dortmund Regionals, and no one's playing this. This is a card which started off at $35, dropped down to $23, and is now sitting there at about 31. It's going up. The others I showed you are kind of going a little up or a little down, but largely staying about right. This has been going up fairly significantly. And here, it's art. And that means this could keep going. Dachsbun is not that popular of a Pokemon. This card is not that good playability-wise. If you're looking for an explanation for this, the explanation is basically people have decided the card's cool and they're pushing up the price. This happens more and more lately. I've told you about it a bunch. That is basically what's happening here. I don't see any other real explanation. So, yeah. This is one to keep a little bit of an eye on. I'm not saying it's going to keep jumping, but I am saying I wouldn't be surprised if it did. In at number 6, we got the special illustration rare of Galvantula, and this and Dachsbun are going in opposite directions. Like, Galvantula started off at about 53, well above Dachsbun, and dropped down to 30 and is now sitting at like 31. Again, like a lot of these cards, tiny bit up, tiny bit down, staying a bit flat. Stellar Crown did that thing where like it had basically dropped as much as it needed to in a week after release, and since then has been kind of holding steady. A little bit weird, but alright. The thing is, Galvantula, I mean look, this is a card with an awful lot of potential. It's got an attack for free energy that does 180, discards all energy from it, and then your opponent can't play items next turn. But we've seen from lists in Japan, some people are making this work. So I'm just telling you, this is another one with a lot of potential you need to keep an eye on, but right now it's not doing very good. And it's going to be passed by Dachsbun very soon, honestly. Like right now, Dachsbun's about 30 cents behind it according to TCG Player. I expect it to jump it sooner rather than later. Speaking of ones that are probably going to be jumped by Dachsbun sooner rather than later, Hydrapple EX coming in at number 5. This is, I actually pulled this one the other day for my Charizard EX Super Premium collection. Check out that video if you haven't already. Love this card, love the T0 artwork. Prefer Dipplin to Hydrapple as a Pokemon, I'll be honest with you, but still an extremely cool card. And again, potential but not yet being realized. You know, we've got an attack here that does 30 plus 30 more for each grass energy attached to all your Pokemon, and an ability that lets you attach a grass energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon and heal 30 from them. Largely, it's a way of getting extra grass energy onto the field. Point is, this is a card which isn't doing much now, but you can imagine it doing more in the very near future. And it's a card with a lot of potential that a lot of people could start making a lot of use of. And I'm just telling you, this card I love, but again, you look at the graph, started off at $60, very hyped, dropped down to 34, and has continued dropping down to about 31. Right now, this card is going in the wrong direction. Dachsbun is the one that's going up, which doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. But hey-ho. This one, lot of potential. Galvantula, lot of potential. But it's Dachsbun that's jumping up right now. And like I've said, I don't really understand it. It doesn't really make much sense. Nobody cares. Moving on, in at number 4, we've got Bulbasaur. Hey, a little bit of a rhyme there. And, I mean, look, every set we do this thing where we pick a couple of random illustration rares and pump them up to a price that is completely undeserving. The good news is with Stellar Crown, we're doing it with Bulbasaur and Squirtle, and at least it makes sense. And that's the best I can tell you here. It's a Bulbasaur. Obviously, everybody is going to want it. So, yeah. There's your explanation. Started off at about $42, fell down very quickly to 30, and has now crept back up to 34. But more so than a lot of the other cards on this list, you can see that this is a pretty clear creeping up, and will probably keep going as you go. Coming in at number 3, we've got the Lacy Special Illustration Rare. And this is a classic example of a card that was massively hyped, very expensive in Japan, or at least the most expensive card in the set, because supporter cards often are in Japan, that was way too overhyped in the West, and is now dropping like a stone. Now, Lacy as a card, fine. Shuffle draw 8 if your opponent's got 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, but shuffle draw 4 if they don't. And it's fine. It's alright. But it's not seeing much play at the moment. And, you know, we saw a card that people were trying to sell for $110 on release, drop down almost instantly to 50, halved in price, now down to 40, but it's still dropping. Like, Lacy is still going. There's a very good chance Lacy drops underneath Bulbasaur in the near future. I'm just warning ya. A card that has been dropping but not that much is Squirtle. It's the number 2 card in the set right now. Squirtle is literally the number 2 card in the set. And it's not a playability thing. It's an illustration rare. We love Squirtle, go Squirtle. That's literally your answer here. The thing is, yeah, Squirtle's brilliant. Also, I just want to remind you guys that over in Japan, there was a sealed deck you could buy, or a set of free sealed decks, there we go. That was like $40, and had this, and the Bulbasaur, and the Charmander, the one that was our Obsidian Flames Elite Trainer Box promo, plus alternate arts of the Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise EXs, plus a bunch of other cards. Like, that was readily available on release. That was not a difficult product to try and pick up and import from Japan. I accidentally imported 2 of them and then sold it to someone who really wanted it at cost because that seemed like the nice thing to do. Point is, over in Japan, this was well easy to get hold of. Over here, I mean, look, it started off as like a $48 product, dropped down to 38, but is already back up to about 41, 42. So I'm just telling you, this is a card to keep an eye on. This one seems like it is back up and building again, and I kind of don't blame it. But number 1, by a mile, it's a special illustration rare Terrapagos. And, I mean, look, we talked about Terrapagos a lot here, and everything I said about it before is true. Lots of potential, seen as a top deck right now, not actually backing it up with tournament results. But everyone's got their eye on it. If we see it doing well in tournaments, this is going to start jumping up. And, you know, it started off as like 150. It's been down about as low as 110. But really, it dropped down to about 110, 112-ish, and it stayed there. It's 113 at the moment. It is nominally kind of going down, but not really. It's a card to keep an eye on. It's still over $100 a month in, which is impressive for any special illustration rare Pokemon. And if Terrapagos starts doing really well, this could start reversing quickly. General rule with Stellar Crown, big drop a week after release and then holding steady. But you've got cards like Dachsbun, which I'm telling you, that is going up a lot more than it should. Keep an eye on it. And then Squirtle and Bulbasaur creeping up as well because, well, that actually makes sense. And then Terrapagos holding on at a higher price than I imagined. So there we go. That's your roundup. That's what's going on with Stellar Crown 1 month in, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me which cards you picked up, which cards you pulled, which ones you're after, anything else you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Unknown One, who's been a supporter of ours for a while and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.